Welcome back to BLOCKTV, and you're watching Traders Take, where we get a chance to take a look at the chart and have our analysts break it down. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined by BLOCKTV's technical analyst, Joe Saz, coming in from New York to break this down for us. So, Joe, we spoke yesterday, and things were not looking great. It was like the worst, most depressing Traders Take I think we've ever had in BLOCKTV history. But today, things are looking up a bit. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, so let's say we did pop up a little bit, and the weekly close is always, it's like the Sundays are the weekly close, and 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm -4 UTC. So anyways, wherever you are in the world, the weekly close is always going to be the most intense trading day of the week, like almost always, maybe not always. But we had some serious action. I'm talking like, let's go over this because this is just absolutely insane. Starting back, let's see, in the earlier part of the day, yesterday, we had some steep, moves to the upside. Let's see, today is the 2nd. So yeah, Sunday was the 1st. All right, or was it? Yeah, Sunday was the 1st. All right, well, either way, you can see going into this, we have like steep rejections of price. We have pops, we have rejections and pops, and then we get stuff like this. All right, so this is September 1st. All right, so we have a humongous move to the upside, and then a steep rejection followed by multiple bearish candles, a breakdown, a rejection of a breakdown, and then bearish activity ensuing, followed by a pump, a nasty pump, this humongous shakeout with a follow through, and then a bearish response, but then mostly sideways from there. So basically, this is getting a little funky to me right now. We're hitting the bottom of, I don't know how old this line is, some horizontal support. We could just quickly zoom out to see how old that is. It's pretty old. This is a horizontal support area dating back in early July. So we'll have to see how we hit there. But more importantly, I think I'm really trying to decide right now. Let's go to the daily, Bitcoin US dollar on the daily. So we're now starting to poke our heads above my accelerated descending line within the descending triangle, which is, for a broader view here. Now this is starting to make me feel like there is potential for a bounce at a minimum to the 50 MA, at a maximum to the bottom of the descending triangle in order to maintain the bearish narrative. Now there's one thing that I want to quickly note, okay? And Oran, this is going to blow your mind, okay?
Go for it.
All right. This is big news right here. So the last time we had a bearish crossover of the MACD was just after the all-time high of 2017. I mean, January 2018, okay? Now, we just hit another bearish crossover. And obviously, January 22nd, 2018 was nowhere near the all-time high. It was like a month later, you know what I'm saying? So this is kind of a lagging indicator, but if 14K was the high of this run, then it's very possible that MACD revealing to us that we had a similar run on the weekly chart, of course, with the bearish crossover being in the previous all-time high and this now being this all-time high. There's just a couple of things that are really making me lean bearish. Now, the weekly close excuse me, did close on a slightly bearish note. Okay, we did get to the wick of the previous candle, which is kind of ugly. The last hours of it pumped us from 95.80, which is right here. So I mean, the damage done to this candle in order to try to create a bullish narrative wasn't really significant. I still think that the weekly is looking bearish. Now back to the daily. If we do make it, I mean, I will switch. I will enter a long, and I will enter a long probably minimum to the 50 MA, maximum to here. And if we break this line, then I mean, we're gonna have to have a serious talk with Bitcoin. We're gonna have to sit down and have a serious talk.
Well, things are definitely looking better than they were yesterday. Where do you think it's gonna go from here? Because listen, this is all speculation and theory, and as much as analysts within the crypto space want to give us all the answers, it's tough. So what do you think we're going to see from here?
Well, I'd like to comment on that. It is tough. I mean, there are so many moving parts. So in order to create a comprehensive analysis and like a technical picture in your mind of like where the price is headed, it really takes a lot of work. And I mean, where are we headed right now? It's really tough. My gut is saying that this was just a shakeout, and so let's talk about a shakeout real quick. This will answer the question and do another thing at the same time here. This candle right here, where we have massive volume and a huge upside move, this just was probably there to kill shorts, right? Anyone that was over leveraged died in this candle, and there was some follow through. So people that probably went over leveraged up in here, they got liquidated as well. So I mean, I think there's a little bit of mind game kind of activity going on here. So I mean, if I'm trying to figure out how long is this going to last. I don't see organic buyers responding to this activity. I simply don't, and I think that that's going to mean that we're headed back down. I think we're probably, I would say, within the next number of days to a week, it's very possible that we could find ourselves in $8,000 territory. And if I was to give you an exact price target, let's look at the daily, all right? And I'm going to give you the best that I got here. I would say that we're breaking down to 87. Oh shoot, that's Socrates' target. I can't copy his moves.
What is it, 87.75?
I'm looking at 87.59, just ballpark. But let's say that we hit this. I mean, man, it's like, I guess me and Socrates have to be jogging partners for a minute here. But that's kind of what I'm looking at in terms of a breakdown. I don't see this as any sort of bullishness yet. Now keep in mind, we just broke down from 10K to 9.3, 10.3 to 9.3. So sitting at 9,800 is basically a 50% retrace of that, serious downside move. That doesn't really instigate any bullish narrative just yet. I mean, unless this is a sustained move back above those prices or something like that, then you change your position. But for now, all we're doing is retracing, recovering some of the ground that we lost, or the bulls lost to the bears. And I'm not really like screaming flip, hey guys, flip from short to long. I just don't see that in the air right now. So I would say 8,500 to 8,750 might be a reasonable target. I don't really see any support there in the order book. So what that means is a lot of it is going to have to shift into support. Buyers are going to have to come out of the shadows and decide to buy. And there might be some support growing on down beneath that. So let's take a quick look at at an exchange. You can see that there's a bit of robust activity right up against mark price. I mean, we have a 118 Bitcoin buy wall at 98.20 at $9,820. But beneath that, you can see it's a very illiquid order book, right? Just like very small amounts of Bitcoin to protect us from a steep downside move, okay? So, and you can see the same for the upside, but typically resistance always has to be dynamic. It always has to be responding to price. So wherever the price goes, sellers have to wake up and decide to sell. Buyers, on the other hand, I call them, a lot of them, sleepers. You can see that there's a lot of these orders in the book are probably people that put their orders in the book and walked away from their computer and probably aren't going to look again until, forever. So the thing that's going like that I see is we have a very illiquid buy side order book. This could be, and then we have a pretty dense activity in the near mark price of the order book on the sell side. So I think it could swing either way. But if we do move to the downside, buyers are going to have to wake way the heck up. I mean, all the way down to 93.60, we have really no support. I mean, I'm looking at nothing. We have a 108 buy wall at 98.20. And other than that, we got, just dust. I mean, this is nothing. This is no support. You can see someone sell 40 Bitcoin in one chunk. That's only $400,000, it's not that much money.
No, absolutely. So, there's definitely a lot that we have to keep our eyes on, especially since it's kind of day to day, right? Yesterday we were poorly, but you said weeks close and we get to see what's actually going down. Headlines today, I would like to shift gears here. Headlines today, we're reading that XRP, Ripple's XRapid solution is kind of picking up. Ripple itself is functioning with that solution in 40 countries, over 6 continents. I'm wondering if news like that had an effect on XRP.
Yeah, let's take a look. I'm happy to see if it did or didn't. Should be right around here. And here's XRP. Whoa, well, it's flatlining. And we're actually we're sitting beneath the this trend line that dates back, horizontal trend line, of course. We had it supported a couple times. I mean, this is pretty old. I would put it back here a little bit. So, I mean, this is 2017-esque support. I mean, we're on a daily chart right now. What do I see? I see. All right, so let's start from scratch here. I see a distinct trend headed down. I mean, and it hasn't been broken. I mean, from here on to here, we've been moving down pretty fast, and it doesn't seem like the external narrative is there to guide us back into positive numbers, even back into this channel between the setup trend line and this high up here at 33 cents. It doesn't even look like we're really making our way back there right now. This trend is so steep, and we've already made lows of 23 cents. Usually when you get something like this, you usually get a return into this area. So I'm inclined to think that we're at least going to revisit this wick space, which we're kind of sitting in, and we've tested maybe 50% of it. So that could be sufficient. But right now, I think considering dominance against Bitcoin and XRP only being something like 1% of it, let me just take a quick look at the dominance chart and see where XRP lies. All right, let's just add it in real quick, xrp.d, for those of you that like looking at dominance charts. So let's just see where XRP is right now. We're at 4.47% dominance and decreasing. So, it's not very promising for a bullish narrative here if we're losing dominance and going down in value. It doesn't appear that XRapid growing in 60 countries or 80 countries. I can't remember what you said.
40.
I was trying to listen. 40 countries. I was double wrong. It doesn't seem like that news had any impact on the price. In fact, I remain bearish on XRP. And again, even banks participating in this network, it requires liquidity, right? So in order for that liquidity to be available and transacted, in my opinion, you need two-way streets here. You can't just have bank A buy XRP on exchange A, send it to exchange B, and then cash out at bank B. If you have, like in Southern California where I grew up, you had a lot of Mexicans working the farms, and they would be sending their hard-earned money back home to Mexico to feed their families. So that's really a one-directional track, right? And if you have all this liquidity, being eaten on one side and then crushed on the other, it's really going to create an imbalance. And I just don't think that people are going to be flooding XRapid with liquidity. This doesn't make sense.
Well, you sort of answered the question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that I think we can both agree that the solution that that Ripple is offering it's pretty genius, because as somebody who lives abroad, sending money to my bank account in the United States, I'm an American, it's fees upon fees, and then if something bounces there, you lose that money. It's a whole hassle. So this solution is something that the world absolutely needs, but why do you think it's not catching on?
Well, because it's an architecture built on top of the architecture of an existing financial structure that is continuously damaged the greatest, the great numbers of people. We have prime examples over and over of banks conducting illegal activities and getting away with them with nothing more than fines. Maybe I could pull up examples maybe on paper. A lot of this is more in my head, and I don't have the exact facts. But I recall a number of banks colluding in a currency manipulation, and they made around $80 billion in profits. They were fined $5 billion. They all pled guilty, by the way, and no one went to jail. So they profited $75 billion on an illegal scam, and no one went to jail. So working with existing financial institutions, I believe, is a big mistake. And that's why no one cares about XRP. That's why they don't have scaling issues, because no one really cares to use it.
Perhaps this is something, the sphere was created, this technology was created to avoid or to get rid of, to do away with the old system.
It was also created to make the founders rich. They pocketed 20% of the pre-mined total supply. This is of all the things that you could possibly think of as a scam, pre-mining and pocketing money is the worst thing that you can do for the space, considering you have alternatives, decentralized alternatives like Bitcoin. And so, that is the same thing. You could transact in Bitcoin and send Bitcoin to your, account or whatever. If XRP works and you're able to send money from point A to point B, maybe in the short term, there's a world where they can coexist. But in the long term, I absolutely don't see it.
Absolutely, yes. I was referring to the ideology of cryptocurrencies as a whole that was brought about from a specific philosophy where the old system has to be done away with. But anyway, thank you very much for your insights, Joe Saz, and for being on with us today to break those down. For all you folks at home, keep on watching at blocktv.com for more cryptocurrency and blockchain related news.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.